Hey, Ben here from Fit 50. This episode we're going to talk about energy systems, and this is one of the more important underpinnings of the Fit 50 system, how we use our food, our fats, proteins, and carbohydrates for building our bodies and providing us energy. But not only that, how do we keep that food from being stored as body fat? And so we're going to break this up into two parts. This episode is going to be a little bit more basic, and then the next episode we'll get into some numbers. All right, let's take a look at it.
Inside of our bodies, our energy systems are controlled by a series of chemical on and off switches located inside of our internal organs. They're similar to the thermostats we have in our home, trying to regulate the conditions and maintaining balance. Overconsumption, inactivity, and fatigue can alter these chemical switches, causing our muscles to store too much of our consumed food. With nowhere to go, the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins can move into storage as fat. When we're physically active, our muscles are depleted of the stored carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, leaving more room for the food we eat and less likely for that food to overflow the muscle and be converted into body fat. When we're physically active, our body's cells, especially our muscle cells, depend heavily on a certain type of fuel called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. Our bodies create ATP from the food we eat and from other substances created from that food. The ATP is kind of like a refined fuel, much like gasoline is refined from oil. Although ATP is refined from carbohydrates, fats, and proteins at the same time, depending on the intensity of exercise, our body may choose one type of food to refine ATP from over that of another. At rest, our body primarily burns fat. As we move into activity, our body uses a substance called creatine phosphate, then quickly into sugars, and then as exercise is extended, we burn fat again at a higher level. Anytime we change intensity, the same thing happens. Creatine phosphate into glucose, back into fat. Our bodies burn primarily fat at rest because our cells are getting all the oxygen they need to utilize fat as a fuel source. So while at rest, minimizing sugar intake helps to keep fat as the primary fuel source rather than switching to sugar. Even though our bodies will use proteins, fats, and carbohydrates at the same time, the Fit 50 plan tries to force the body to use as many carbohydrates as possible during the workouts. This is accomplished by reducing carbohydrate intake, overnight having a prolonged fasting period, and engaging in exhaustive work, which is a mainstay in the Fit 50 program. This is accomplished by our muscle work and our glycogassers. Forcibly depleting carbohydrates during exercise depletes any remaining carbohydrate fuel that could be used after exercise. The body likes to use fat for fuel anyway during rest because it's getting all the oxygen it needs to be able to do that. So Fit 50, rather than directly threatening fat and burning it on the aerobic hot burner with exercises like daily bikes and runs, instead burns it on the slow burner with exercises like weight training and sprints, and then uses those depleted muscles to pull fat in during rest as a fuel source. So in review, if you want that great before and after photo, then minimize your intake of food and increase your activity levels. This way, your muscle stores stay low and no overflow food will move into fat storage.
All right, well, that's episode 1 of energy systems. I hope you guys have a better understanding of how having too much food in our system can overflow our muscles and cause our bodies to potentially store our food as fat. We'll move into episode 2 next, and we'll talk more about how to manage our calories and use our energy systems to help us burn fat more efficiently.